Hello everybody, welcome back to American Textbook Reading. My name is Brian Stuart, and in this lesson, we're taking a look at Science Book 4, Lesson 15, the last lesson in the book, okay? The lesson title is Light and Colors. So in this lesson, we're going to take a look at what light is made of and how light moves. Okay, let's begin. The first word in the vocabulary section is split. Split means to divide something into parts, to split it up. However, be careful using this word. I mean, the picture shows some bread, looks like banana bread maybe, that has been cut into different pieces. Sure, it's been split up, but don't say, please split the bread. That's a little strange. Please cut the bread. Usually when you split something, if something splits, it's, maybe by accident, right? Something breaks and it splits into two pieces. But you can also say, if you do have like a pizza or a loaf of bread, you can say, let's split it up. Let's split it up. And usually that means let's split it up equally so that each person gets the same amount. Let's split it up. If you have to pay a bill, let's split the bill. You divide the bill into two equal parts, or according to what people ate, and each person pays for part of it. So you split something, you divide something into parts, usually equal parts. Okay, so to split something. Prism. Prism is a piece of glass that can split light. This looks like a Pink Floyd album cover. Pink Floyd is, it's a very old rock and roll band. Good music though, a long time ago. But anyway, what they're showing here, now this is interesting, and you see this sometimes. Sometimes if you look on the walls on a sunny day, you say, hey, what? There's a rainbow on my wall, right? There's all these different colors. What's going on? Well, probably the sunlight is coming in through a window, hitting a piece of glass, and that sunlight, the sunlight here, this is what represents the sunlight, it passes through the glass, and that sunlight, that white light that's coming from the sun gets split up into all these different colors. And we'll talk about that later. But this is a piece of glass. This glass is acting as a prism. And a prism can split light, divide light up into its elements, into the more basic colors of sunlight. Okay, that's a prism. Next we have filter. A filter. Well, here you could say filter is a noun or a verb. Here it's a verb because we see two. So filter is a verb. Here, but filter can also be a noun. And this is a filter. A filter, what does a filter do? It filters. Okay, so it's kind of the same idea. But anyway, a filter means to remove certain parts of something using a device, like a filter. And if you think about it, we have many different filters in our everyday life. Maybe you're wearing a mask these days. A mask is a filter because it removes certain parts of something, your spit, or the virus that might be coming from your mouth or nose, usually your mouth, and it removes it and it prevents it from going into the air. Sunglasses are also a filter. They prevent harmful light from getting to your eyes. So the sunglasses will filter out a lot of the sunlight to protect your eyes on a sunny day, or especially if it's a sunny day and you're on a boat. Right? So you get sunlight from the sun and also from the water. That's too much light for your eyes. It might be harmful. So the sunglasses will filter out a lot of the light. So filter, remove certain parts of something using a device. And usually you want to remove harmful things. In this case, it looks like an air conditioning screen or something, and you're removing harmful bacteria from the air. Or it could be water flowing through there, and again, you're removing harmful bacteria from the water. A lot of homes might have a filtering device on the tap, maybe in your kitchen sink, to remove any harmful bacteria or elements that are in the water. You don't want to drink those things. So you have a filter on your tap in your home. Okay. Next, we have block. Now, filter, right? We talked about filter, remove certain things, but you don't block it entirely, right? When you wear sunglasses, you're not entirely blocking the sun from coming into your eyes. Of course, you still need light to see. You're just reducing it. When you filter the water in your home, you're not blocking the water from coming into your home. You're thirsty or you need to wash, right? So you need water. You're just filtering out harmful things. But to block means to completely stop movement through or past something. That's what this man is doing here. He's holding up his hand to block the sunlight, right? He doesn't have sunglasses on, so he's blocking the sunlight from his eyes. So he's blocking the light from reaching his eyes to completely stop something. Not to just filters a little bit, but to block means completely shut it off. No movement through. Okay. Drop. A drop, now drop has different meanings. Here it's a noun. A drop is a very small amount of a liquid. So we see these little drops, right, hitting the surface of the water. Of course, we know the word raindrop. Raindrop. Raindrop are little pieces of water, liquid, that fall from the sky. Maybe you've heard of teardrops, right? Little parts of liquid that, you know, somebody cries and the teardrops. You see them in little drawings of faces, emoticons, right? You see teardrops, somebody's sad, right? So those are drops, drops of a liquid. Rainbow. I talked about that before when we talked about prism. A rainbow, of course, you might see in nature as well. A rainbow is a curved line. It's usually a curved line means like this, curved, not a straight line. This is a straight line. Rainbows, you never see a straight rainbow. That's weird. Nobody's ever seen that. Rainbows are usually curved lines of many colors in the sky. What's going on? Well, remember we talked about glass. Glass is a prism. If the sunlight passes through it, it splits the light up into many different colors. But it's not just glass. Water does the same thing. If sunlight passes through water in a certain way, it will also split the light. So after it's rained, right, there's many clouds in the sky. So after a rain, there might be a lot of moisture in the air. The sunlight is passing through that moisture and it creates a rainbow because the sunlight is split into different colors. Of course, you can never go up and catch the rainbow. Many people have tried. There's a legend that a leprechaun, which is a magical being living in Ireland, has put a pot of gold. They bury their pot of gold at the end of a rainbow. But of course, that's just a legend, right? You can never catch the rainbow. You'll never get that pot of gold if you try to catch the rainbow. It's just a story. It's kind of a funny story. Okay, those are our words for today. Now, the first main idea for this lesson is light is made up, consisted, made, many things come together to make something. It's made up of, I should say made up of, those three words go together, made up of many colors. You may not realize that, but the sunlight is made up of many colors, right? Light from the sun is white, right? It passes through the air. It travels in a straight line, okay? Light usually travels in a straight line. And it's white. It doesn't really have any color to it. Right? Now, of course, sometimes people say sunlight is yellow. If you look at the sun, it does look yellow. But light just passing through the air, you know, you don't see a yellow glow on a sunny day. It's just everything is bright, right? Is it white? It's kind of clear, really. But if that light hits a prism, then the prism will split that light, that blinding white light, into many different colors. And we can see the different colors of the rainbow here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Looks like 6 different colors. Usually people say there's 7 colors. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yeah, we might be missing a color there. Anyway, so the prism splits the white light into many different colors. Then the light reflects off an object and enters our eyes. Now this is interesting because when the light hits an object, right, the light that is not absorbed by the object comes back. It's reflected. Now, when light hits an object, a lot of the light is absorbed. The object absorbs or takes in that light. But light that is not absorbed is reflected off the surface, and that's the light of the object, and we say that this is a certain color. So we have yellow oranges, green mangoes, yellow bananas, purple grapes. Those are the parts of the light that are reflecting off that object's surface and coming back to your eyes. Okay? Now, how light moves. How does light move? Well, light moves, sometimes light is a reflection, and a reflection, reflect, that's a verb. Reflect means to bounce off or come back from something back to you. So, for example, the light will hit the bird, the light will be shining on the bird, and the light goes to the water, and the light doesn't pass through the water. Actually, that light and that image is reflected off the surface of the water. Why? Because the water is a very shiny surface. It reflects light very easily, just like a mirror, which is what we see in the second example. Light bounces back when it hits an object. And of course, if the object is very shiny, that it reflects back all of the light that hits it, then you see a mirror image. We see a mirror image. And of course, we call it a mirror image because it's like a mirror image. A mirror image. That's the reflection. Ignore this. That's I-M-A-G-E. A mirror image. Now, that's when light bounces off a shiny surface. But what happens when light passes through two different states of an object, like, for example, air and water? Usually, of course, light's passing through air very quickly. But when light hits water, water is denser, right? It's thicker. So the light slows down. And what happens is you get a strange optical illusion. It looks like this straw is broken right here, right? It looks like the straw is broken, but it's not broken. It's just that the light is passing through air and water at different speeds, so the image looks different to you. So light bends when it moves from air to water or from water to air. And what happens is that the image looks different because it's being reflected back to you at a different speed. It slows down in water, it moves faster in air, and so it looks different, right? It's not the same image that you're seeing because it's passing through two different mediums, different materials, different elements, air and water. So that we call that refraction, and that's a very interesting thing that you see. Sometimes you see it also in mirrors that are curved, right? You see that the light might bend, and you see a little, we call it an optical illusion. Optical, because optical has to do with your eyes, and it's an illusion. Illusion is something that is not real. It looks like something that is not real. So it's an illusion. The straw isn't broken. That's not real. That's an illusion. So it's an optical illusion. And that's what refraction does. Okay, let's take a look at our reading passage. Okay, as usual, I will read the reading passage out loud. You guys repeat after me out loud or in your mind. Focus on the words that we learned in the vocabulary and also see if you can pick up any new vocabulary. You guys ready? Let's begin. Light is energy. It travels in a straight line. Sunlight comes from the sun. Sunlight looks white, but it really has many colors. When sunlight passes through a prism, you can see that it really has many colors. The prism splits white light into colors, into many different colors. Sometimes we can see this happen in the sky on special days. Sunlight passes through drops of water in the sky. The drops act like a prism and a rainbow is created. Light passes through air easily. We cannot see air. We can only see objects that light has reflected off of. Light reflects off an object and enters our eyes. That is how we see. A mirror reflects light very well. Some objects can filter light. Only one or some of the colors of light can pass through the object. The other colors are blocked. Okay, that is the reading passage. Let's see how the information was organized. In this reading passage, the information was organized according to main idea and details. Again, we have a main idea, and that's a vague or general statement. In this case, light is energy that can be seen. And what are the supporting details? We have a lot of blanks here, so let's go through them one by one. Okay, so first, we can see that we can only see an object if light has beep off. Okay, so in the reading passage, we saw the word reflected. Reflected. And we can only see an object if light has reflected off it. We really should put it after that, or reflected off of it. So reflected, you could also say bounced, right? Because reflected is kind of like bounced too. That's another way you could say it. I know in the reading passage it said reflected, but another word you could use there is bounced, because light will hit an object, it's not absorbed by the object, instead it bounces off the object and it comes into your eyes. And that's how we see colors, because a lot of objects, they will absorb all other colors, but the color that they don't absorb, that's actually the color that's bounced back to your eyes, and it's what gives different objects different colors. That's an interesting thing to think about, isn't it? Okay, so it is easy to see yourself in a beep if there is light. What did we see in the reading passage? It's kind of an indirect reference, but of course, the obvious answer, and we talked about it in one of the main ideas of this unit, is that if you look in a mirror, right, you can see yourself. So that's obviously the answer, a mirror. And in the reading passage, it said, mirrors reflect light. If there's light, you can see in a mirror. And think about that, right? If you're in the bathroom and there's a mirror, you can see yourself. But if you turn off the light, you can't see yourself. Where did you go? Right? It's all depending on the light bouncing off the mirror to show you your image, right? And that's what's going on, right? The mirror reflects all of the light that hits it, so it shows you an image of yourself. That's why mirrors work so well. Okay, and that's why the same thing, that happens with glass, but it also happens with water. That's why you can look into water and you can see yourself on a good day. If the lighting conditions are right, you can see a good image of yourself. Okay, moving on. A beep can beep white light into colors. Ooh, this is a little difficult sentence, right? Because we have two blanks. We have to really be careful about what they're talking about. So before we talked about, we talked about the rainbow, right? The rainbow has many different colors, right? Well, where does the light from a rainbow come from? Of course, it comes from sunlight, the white light coming from the sun, and it passes through something. What does it pass through to split that light up into many colors? Of course, we talked about a prism. So prism. And the prism can be glass or it can be water, especially water drops in the sky after a rainstorm. So a prism can do what to the white light? It splits it up. So a prism can split white light into many different colors. Sunlight can beep water drops and create a rainbow. Sunlight can do what? Sunlight passes through. So that's two words actually for that blank. Sunlight can pass through water drops and create a rainbow. Excuse me, and create a rainbow. So basically what's going on is that light is hitting the water, right? And of course the light is moving quickly through air, but when it hits the water, it slows down. And the water bends that light when it bends it, it splits it into different colors, and it throws up, if the conditions are right and you're at the right angle, you can see a rainbow. So basically what's happening is the sunlight is getting broken up into many different colors. All the colors of the white light of the sunlight are represented in the rainbow. If there's enough raindrops and the sun is in the right position, according to where you are, you can see a rainbow. Okay, so it passes through those water drops and it creates a rainbow in the sky. Very beautiful sight. Okay, finally, our last blank, beep, is energy that comes from the sun. Of course, what are we talking about in this unit? We're talking about light, right? Light right up here. So we put that here, light. Light is energy. It is. It's not just something that enables us to see. It's also heat, right? It's energy that comes from the sun. It allows us to see. It also gives us heat. It gives us warmth. So that is the energy that comes from the sun. You could say sunlight also, sunlight, but light is energy that comes from the sun. In fact, we should probably change it to sunlight, because light also comes from the lamps in the studio, and I'm feeling quite a bit of energy from these lights. So sunlight is energy that comes from the sun. Of course, you could also just say light too, but light can have different sources. So to be specific, sunlight is energy that comes from the sun. Okay, so those are the ideas in this unit. This unit, of course, was about light. Light is a very tricky, actually very tricky subject, and it took a long time for scientists to really figure out what light is, and there's still some questions about it, about exactly, what is light and how does it work. And this is actually a very difficult subject, but it's a very interesting subject to read about the history of experiments done on light. Is light a wave? Is it particles? What is it? Is it a combination of both? It's a very interesting history, especially if you get into the history of science and scientific developments. That's a good thing to research, and I encourage you to read about it because it's a very interesting phenomenon. We see it every day, right? Every day we wake up, there's all this light around us. But do you ever wonder, what is it made of? How does it work? How does it move? We've just touched upon a very, very small part of that in this unit. Of course, we're not an advanced science class, right? But it's a very interesting subject. And of course, also how rainbows are made. What are different colors? How do we see colors? Why do we see colors? That's a very interesting and deep subject. I would encourage you to read more about it. It's very interesting and fascinating subject. And of course, this is the last unit in our book, science book number 4. So we've covered a lot of different subjects in this science book. Science is a very interesting field. It's a very interesting inquiry into the natural world around us. And we've talked about a lot of different subjects. I hope that, reading about these subjects will make you interested to learn more. Just like what we're doing, just like what I talked about with this unit, light and colors. These are just like introductory looks at these different topics. Very fascinating topics to read more about, to study more about. Even if you're not studying it in school or you don't plan to be a scientist in the future, it's still very interesting and fascinating to look into the world around us and develop a scientific knowledge about the world and the environment around you. It's very important to have, even if you go into something else. It's just good to have that knowledge. Okay, well, thanks for studying with me. I hope maybe I'll see you in the future, maybe some other subject, but keep studying, keep learning, and thank you very much for studying with me over these past 15 lessons. Take care, everybody. Bye-bye.